What do you do when you can't fall asleep? Asterisk looks around. Arms raised asterisk. Roll around in the bed. Flip pillows until it's done. My preference is a body scan meditation. Stop thinking about sleeping. How tired you are. What you have to do the next day. Instead, try focusing on your legs. How they feel in your bed. Feel their heaviness. Continue with your feet and every part of your body until you get to the top of your skull. The other thing I used to use all the time was Michael Seeley Guided Meditation and Sleep Hypnosis on YouTube. He has video that are hours in length and I found them very helpful. https://m.youtube.com/watch?v=1vx8ufc. Read r. Funny that shit puts me to sleep. Usually when I can't sleep it's because I'm not exhausted enough and my anxiety is acting up. I usually up doing sit-ups and push-ups until I'm tired enough to sleep. So one trick I do when I have bouts of insomnia is find something, usually a slow-paced mobile game, that I will play and only play it until I fall asleep. I will only play the game at this time so I train my mind to know when I play it, it's time to sleep. Sometimes it's so effective I'll turn on the game and instantly feel so tired I just turn it off and fall asleep. Phone on night mode. Right now it's Plague Inc. Think about the 1,000 ways I could suddenly die. I might have a technique that can help you out without taking any medication. When having a hard time sleeping, I place my hand on top of my forehead with my hand facing the ceiling. This sounds weird but it works for me and I don't know why. Take a deep breath. Hold it for about 5 to 8 seconds, then slowly let it out. As I breath out, I relax all of my muscles and feel my body sink into my bed. I do this 3 to 5 times to fully relax. If that does not work, then eventually, I will get up and watch TV for a bit till I am extremely tired. My doctor once told me if you can't sleep and you've been trying for an hour, get up and do something else, then go back to bed. Go down the alphabet and for every letter, think of 3 words, any words, that begin with that letter. 1 word per breath. I've never gotten to the end. I count from 100 to 1. If that doesn't work, I think of a verb, noun and an adjective for every alphabet. And if that doesn't work I just give up and stay awake until the ripe hour of 4 a.m. You're experiencing it right now. Masturbating usually helps. I get in arguments on Reddit. I try to imagine myself in a scenario but with like super specific rules to keep myself thinking. I mostly think of a superpower I'd want and then give it a nerf or weakness and try to work around it. I also think whether it would be used for combative purposes or if I just have a power to go with my everyday life. This usually keeps me busy till I fall asleep. I mentally walk through something that is calming. In my case, that is flying a plane. In my mind, I walk out to the plane, carrying my flight bag. As I get to the plane, I set down my flight bag, unlock the door, climb up, put the key on the dash, enable the battery, set the basic lights, and then climb down and start the walk around. After that, I get my kneeboard out, put the flight bag in the back, climb back up, turn off the lights, and start the pre-flight checklist. After that, I open the window, shout, "Clear," and start the engine. Then, I request permission to taxi to the runway, taxi over to run up, check the engines, taxi in line, request takeoff clearance, and head into the skies. Much of this is theoretical, as I rarely make it through the entire pre-flight checklist. Flying a plane is the most calming thing I know. Usually I sweat in bed in the summer. Like now in North America. I usually roll to the very edge of my bed where nothing touches and most of the time, it's cold. I wait there until my base point on the bed has the same cool feeling. Pretending to be asleep. Slow deep breaths, eyes closed. Relax all muscles. Concentrate on the breathing. Well, you generally can't sleep without pretending to be asleep, so I usually slow my breathing, which slows heart rate, to the same sort of rhythm when you're half asleep or just waking up. Or if I'm overthinking life, I put on some music so I'm focusing on that rather than whatever thoughts are keeping me awake. Start daydreaming until it snowballs into an actual dream and bam, asleep. Daydream, mostly. I like to write stories. so I imagine the whole thing in my head. I've been doing so since I was 6. It's the same story too. It just evolves with new characters, places, etc. I generally just stay awake. I put on my AirPods on and play relaxing rain sounds for deep sleep on Spotify. Basically sounds of rain pouring and gentle thunders in between. Does the job. I usually just let my brain wander. During the day I have to try hard to keep my brain from thinking about random things and getting wildly off topic. But at night, I just stop trying to control my train of thought and eventually I fall asleep. It's kinda like removing a barrier and letting myself finally relax. Allowing my brain to wander like that is very relaxing. But if I do it during the day, it usually makes things crazy and hectic for a minute or two while I focus on getting my train of thought back on topic. Sometimes I catch myself starting random conversations because I already rationalized them in my head and I always find it so funny. Masturbate or read Reddit. Listen to rain sounds. Leave my bed and do stuff until I'm actually tired. Die inside, slowly and painfully. Just read these entertaining comments. Spark a bowl. A tactic I use is to close my eyes and imagine a scenario or fantasy that I have. Most of the time it's shit like what I would do if I had the power to control time and who I'd fuck over with it. Or I'd think up other scenarios like how I'd rob a bank and shit. Once you get into it you end up falling asleep. https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=20utb_q5w. I take 5 milligrams of melatonin. Listen to ASMR or a story. Put on a movie I've seen a million times. Smoke a bowl. Scroll on my phone. I go outside and stargaze a bit. Maybe take a couple melanin gummies or browse Reddit every so often. Think about the work I'm procrastinating on. Think about your breathing and only that. You get bored and fall asleep. Count sheep. Really. And, they're all smiling. Think about scenarios that involve my crush. Read Wikipedia articles on my phone. The Wikipedia app has a dark mode which is really nice. I recommend checking out the articles on the 7 wonders of the world, superorganisms, immortality, time travel in fiction, the Iranian Revolution, and the list of paradoxes as starting points. Read GMEDD on R, Superstonk. I'm here, ain't I? Cuddle a plush toy. People can judge all they want, but I've never slept so easily or so well. I usually listen to a book on Audible. There are times it has gotten really compelling though, so it backfires. Obama's books actually make me drift off. Not because they're bad, but because he reads them and has a bit of a soothing voice. I also count sheep, like I literally imagine them, but sometimes it doesn't work. Or listen to an audiobook or podcast. Not the best thing to do, but I find that it makes good use of my time while simultaneously letting me rest my eyes. When I read a book at night, my eyes are still straining and the light source does not let me sleep for longer. But audiobooks let me turn off the light and close my eyes. I usually fall asleep within half an hour. Just remember to set the sleep timer on the audiobook app though. Eat cheese. Concentrate on breath. Whenever I start to think about something else I think no and go back to just concentrating about breathing. I used to have fantasies about all kinds of stuff but that would keep me awake. Masturbate, it helps relax. I usually just put on a video game lore video as ASMR and get comfy. I'm usually out like a light in a few minutes. I read, and usually it takes just a few pages. Also if I wake in the middle of the night. Exactly this. Levitate asleep, work 7/10 times. Play games, watch some stuff on the YouTubes and maybe watch the sunrise. Over the years, I thought it would be nice to use the time productively, but I almost never do. Especially now that there are other people in the house. Clanking dishes at 4 a.m. make the somniacs cranky. I count backwards from 300 by threes. 300, 297, 294. It helps occupy your mind just enough to keep your thoughts from wandering, but it's mundane enough to not make you more awake. I've been using this trick for years and I've only reached the end a couple of times. It also helps to start with a different number every now and then so you don't get too used to the sequence. Try to sleep in vain. Beer and Netflix. I take my mind for a walk in one of my favorite places. Does the trick for me. Take off all the covers and then I eventually get cold. Once I get under the warm sheets again, it feels really nice and it makes me sleepy. That mixed with a good sleeping position is key. Make up stories in my head, mostly involving humans crushing aliens, supernatural forces with firepower, logic and reason. Listen to lectures on maths. Fall asleep instantly. I start overthinking, and try not to cry. I should really get some sleeping pills. ASMR goes BRRAAAAA. Sort of meditate. Focus on breathing, in and out but count to 10. Every time I find myself thinking about something else, I restart at 1. These are slow mindful breaths. If I notice I'm holding tension, I make sure to let go when I breath out again. And I don't get mad at myself for not focusing, I just restart at 1. In the very rare occasions I get to 10, I just restart. It's very peaceful. Read a book. I always complain I don't have enough time for books, so I figure, this is the universe telling me now it's the time. Or if I really need to sleep, I have something important in the morning. I count down a couple of times slowly from 10 to 1. That usually calms me down. Read. Somehow, reading is both really effective at quieting my mind and making me feel semi-rested. I've read until like 3 and woke up at 9 feeling better than if I got a solid 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Have a panic attack. Ha ha ha. I use the 4-7-8 breathing method. Normally gets me to sleep after like a few minutes. Just breath in through the mouth for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, breath out through the nose for 8 seconds. Do anything I can to slow my heart rate. The most effective method is to hold your breath for about 30 seconds, then take long, slow inhales and exhales for about a minute. Repeat as needed and you'll fall asleep in no time. Not sure why this works, but I think it simulates the feeling of exhaustion. I usually have a cup of chamomile tea an hour or 2 before sleeping. I also turn down the brightness on my phone and have night light at night. Then I meditate for 10 or 15 minutes before sleeping. Works like a charm every night. I also don't drink caffeine at all. I usually get to sleep. Think about a hypothetical situation. If I won the lottery, if I was able to teleport, if I was transported back to being 16 but with all the knowledgeable I have now, if I was transported back in time to a particular decade, zombie apocalypse etc. Anyway, if I can't sleep, I usually just lay still and continue thinking about that. I figure at least I am resting. Keep your eyes fixed, in the dark, on one spot. Don't blind for as long as you can and don't move for as long as you can. If you blink, start over. Eventually it will be so hard to keep them open and boom, you're out. I visualize a dark mountain with a cave in the middle of it and a man standing with his back to me, and every single thought that comes into my head, he throws it into the cave. I've had disordered sleep my whole life. When I was really young, I'd pick a time and close my eyes and refuse to open them no matter what. As I got older, I found the easiest way to fall asleep is to pretend to be asleep. Also, masturbation and the 4-7-8 breathing technique are helpful. When nothing works, I play Sudoku on my phone until I drift off. I lay in bed and imagine a rock, like a boulder, and I completely remove any form of movement from my thought. Just a rock, nothing else, and bam, out like a light. Learners this trick from a friend I have in the army. Said he could sleep anywhere in mere minutes. Works for me every time. Browse Reddit and then make things worse. Stretch techniques always relax me to sleep. I read once that the body will fall asleep if you don't move for something like 15 to 25 minutes. I don't know how true that statement is, but I'll close my eyes, not move for a while. Then before I know it, it's morning time. Either that or masturbate. So random and a bit odd, but I read once that blinking rapidly will trick your brain into sleepiness. If I really can't fall asleep, I'll do this until I can't open my eyes out of tiredness, and I always immediately knock out. Count the exact amount of time I have left until I have to get up. Goes like this. Okay, it's 3:29 a.m. I have to get up at 7. If I fall asleep in the next 5 minutes I can get 3 hours and 26 minutes of sleep. I don't recommend it. Thanks for watching. See you later.